I've always said right from the beginning of this, you've got to really separate the Brexiteers. So that's people like um, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, Michael Gove, etc., etc. Those are the Brexiteers. Those who are to really blame for our current situation. You can't really blame the average person who voted for Brexit because, well, they were straight up conned. They voted for Brexit believing that it would somehow make their lives better or somehow, again, end immigration. Again, that ain't ever going to happen, really. You can't just end immigration. But again, these people were very much conned. And as I've always said and maintained, look, the problems that are in here in the UK are not caused by Europe. They are caused by the British government, by themselves. British problems are British problems. They aren't European problems. And now we are hilariously seeing Brexiteers complain about British problems caused by Brexit that they are now trying to blame on the EU, such as what we are going to do in here today. And remember, this is because, again, according to the Brexiteers, we all decided unanimously to become a third country. That was what was going to happen. That was always what was going to happen. That's what we warned time and time and time again about. But we were told by the Brexiteers, oh, don't worry, it'll all be easy. We'll solve this in an afternoon over a cup of tea. Again, the oven-ready Brexit deal that, again, was hailed by many of these Brexiteers as being the best thing since sliced bread, well, doesn't look, again, like it's turning out that way. So how long before the Brexiteers now turn on Boris Johnson like they did on Theresa May, the person who at one time was meant to get Brexit done? So, before we go diving into this, please do remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and one donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can, well, buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all those people who do help support the channel that way. So, on with the article. This comes from The Independent with the title of Brexiteer Tory MP says it is monstrous that British businesses now have to fill in forms to trade with the EU. A Conservative MP who campaigned for Brexit says that it is monstrous that British businesses now have to fill in forms to trade with Europe. It's not just Europe, my friend. It's everywhere else in the world that you have to fill in. These checks exist around the world. Just because we've got these quote-unquote fantastic trade deals with like Australia and New Zealand doesn't mean that any company that now wants to send goods to like Australia or New Zealand doesn't have to still fill out forms. Again, the EU and the single market was pretty much the only thing that we had that still probably exists in the world that facilitates that much frictionless trade between countries. Of course, Sir Desmond Swayne, a supporter of Leave Means Leave, the group which was mocked for complaining about the new bureaucracy that Brexit has created. And UK businesses wanting to trade on the continent now have to deal with this very significant extra paperwork since Britain left the European Union, its single market and its customs union. Speaking in the Commons during the discussion about trade, Sir Desmond said, the UK aid promoted trade in Africa by making borders seamless through digitizing all the administrative processes. Is that on our agenda for trade with the EU at all? It is monstrous that we're filling in forms. You still have to fill in forms just because you are doing it digitally still doesn't mean that you still don't have to spend that time in. Again, I don't think he knows how this works. Mike Freer, the junior minister at the Department of International Trade, replied that the government had planned to improve the border systems by 2025. The government's own border strategy will, however, not remove customs and veterinary checks on goods, which are required by the UK's new status. Naomi Smith, the CEO of the internationalist campaigning group Best for Britain, said, Brexit has created mountains of paperwork and costly red tape for businesses, and for anyone to claim otherwise is betraying either their own is betraying either their own duplicity or just ignorance. We had frictionless trade with the EU, but now that Brexit has happened, the government must work to reduce barriers to trade they have created, or we will continue to see jobs and businesses move overseas. Goods leaving UK ports for the continent are now subject to full customs controls, meaning that they will require the full HMRC declarations, veterinary checks, market information, and sometimes physical checks. New trade figures released by the Office of National Statistics on Wednesday show that UK exports to the EU countries again shrank by a record £20 billion in just 20 months. And UK to EU exports fell 12% between January and December of last year compared to the previous year. And with supply chain disruption, new trade barriers and additional red tape caused by Brexit cited as now the main reasons. And sales to the EU dropped more sharply in 2021 than other exports to any other country in the world, according to the data. Non-EU exports were down by 6%, suggesting that the rest of the world is not stepping in to fill the gap. However, the Brexit Opportunities Minister, Jacob Rees-Mogg, dismissed the ONS figures and said that the evidence that Brexit had hit trade was few and far between. Again, a minister ignoring his own figures. And unfortunately, this is what we're going to see. We're going to see, so long as these, Brexit extremists or Brextremists, I suppose you would call them, so long as they're anywhere close to power, they will continue to dismiss the evidence in their own eyes. Because, again, they will not tell people what the full reason for Brexit was wanting them to do. They basically want to create Britain and turn it into a complete free market trade zone. Now, that may seem interesting. Oh, free market. Everyone likes a bit of the free market. But the problem is they don't tell you what they actually want and what they mean by saying that. They basically want there to be absolutely zero trade barriers. They want Britain to have 0% tariffs on everything. This is something, again, we tried back in the 1800s. It lasted 6 years before they were eventually reversed because it was, again, doing huge economic damage to the manufacturers and the industries in the UK. So again, them wanting to do this. And not only that, by the way, they want to get rid of all regulation because they believe that the government should have nothing to say in the area of business or regulating markets. So that means things like workers' rights, regulations that help protect environmental, customer safety standards, etc., etc. You can rattle off the full regulations. They just want them gone because they just do not want the government to have anything in there at all. They do not even want organizations that help check for like safety on products or things like that. They want all that completely gone. That is who these Brexiteers are. That is who they really are. That is what they always were. It's just that they don't say the shall we say, the quiet part that they really say out loud. So very much, obviously, this is quite funny, but I am assured this will not be the last time we see Brexiteers complaining about the very thing that they wanted to do. So, as always, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you all next time.